All right, it's Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. Sincerely thanking everyone for tuning in. As promised, we would come back to you with a timely subject. Today, we will be talking about the hatred of self is self-destruction. I really wanted to get into this subject, but again, I'm just coming down off of situations with Juneteenth. It was very good Juneteenth, and I thank everyone who participated, everyone who helped in that regard. Uh, I thank all of you, sinuses, dry air. You know how that goes. So I thank everyone for participating, and I thank you for everything that you did. I sincerely appreciate it. God knows that I do. I'm working on 2 screens, 3 screens right now. I want to thank. If I can get these things working like I want them, give me a minute. Okay, here we go. I want to thank each platform. We are broadcasting live on 3 Facebook pages, the 19 Report, the Music Man, as well as Jamil Salib Zamir. We are on linked. As always, this is a business subject. The way we think, business is warfare. And depending upon the way you think, even if you're successful in business, you may still be building success for the enemy or for your adversary, as opposed to building something for yourself. Uh, the fact that we as a people, African American, Black, Afro Americans, whatever you want to call yourselves, the fact that we are still apologizing for what God created us to be, not the names and the titles that were genetically modified to put us in a category, but for what God created us to be. The fact that we are still apologizing and trying to camouflage, trying to hide from our original self is proof positive that we hate ourselves still, that we don't identify with our greatness still, and that hatred has entered the soul of us, and it is manifesting through our children who feel as if though when they're looking at themselves, they're looking at nothing. So killing nothing or killing themselves through drugs or self-abuse is not a problem, because when they're looking at themselves, they're looking at nothing, because even in our success, we camouflage our true self to become someone else. I want to take you to the Garden of Eden real quick. We're not going to go into biblical scripture. This is going to be very short, but it had to be done today. So I thank you all who will pay attention. I want to say a few things. I got a few things written down. On my last broadcast that I talked about the Juneteenth, I got some backlash from that, from some things that I said about our children being the end result of our rebellion against what God says. Now, in that last report, in that last commentary that I did, the views were up high. When the views are up high because people grasp a part of what I say, and then they pass that on to other people, and then other people look at that minute part of what I said and pass it on to another person and pass on their one-sided interpretation of what I said. And when you pass on your one-sided interpretation of what I said without listening to the full broadcast, and in looking in the analytics, which most of us don't know anything about, I can go on the back page and tell how long someone has been watching one of my videos. No one watched that video more than 3 minutes. There is no way you could have interpreted what I was saying in an almost hour commentary in 3 minutes. You heard what you wanted to hear. You know who I am, but you did not defend me for who you know that I am. You agreed with the person who was talking about me and what I said. And a person who calls themselves a friend that does not defend you in your absence is not a friend at all, period. But these things God began to show me, and I got to accept it until I see different. I'm going to read you some quotes from Dr. King in his travels in understanding people. But let's go to biblical text for a minute. We're talking about the hatred of self. The new white man is black, and the hatred of self is self-destruction. Now, we're at a point now in life where so many people have gotten higher education. So many people have invested in properties and the stock market, black people I'm talking about. And we don't want to hear anything about anybody trying to bring us back to where we perceive we escaped from. So to talk about blackness on a low level aggravates the upper echelon of black people. But they're not upper echelon black until they're coming to the black community to make money. Our people who no longer identify as black people will come to our communities and make money. Take that money back, but they're black. Take that money back and build a whole nother world and never tell us how they have accumulated their wealth. Not only that, they use the dirty tricks of the slave master, of the same Caucasian that built this America off of our backs. They use those same wicked tactics against us. The ignorant masses of the people, black people do that. They do it in the churches. They get the understanding of God based upon what do they call it? Seminary school, taught by white people, for the continued dominance of the Caucasian race, because they are not the minority. They're not the majority. They are the minority, but they keep us in check by continuously influencing our thinking. But who is God? Is God white, the white man? Is God this black person who got a little more than you have? Or is God something that you have to attain based upon your faith in what you cannot see, but you know is real? We're talking today. I wanted to bring you into the book of Genesis, where this God who Adam and Eve saw face to face, who gave them instructions and built a world for them, and they rebelled against that God for someone who promised them something but never delivered. See, our hatred, it goes deep. I don't care how black you talk, how black you claim to be, but when you try to erase your identity with the eyes that God didn't give you, the hair that God didn't give you, the skin that God didn't give you, the body type that God didn't give you, other than surgery that is necessary for our health, when we begin to change ourselves, we're telling God, thank you, but no thank you. And in doing so, we create a cycle of events that don't stop with us as a grandparent or a great grandparent, but it is in the DNA of each child. And what we are seeing manifest before us today in our children and their lack of respect for life of their own, what we're seeing is a manifestation of what is in us. No matter how we talk, we can talk all the black talk we want. As a man think, so is he. So you're seeing the manifestation of our evil, our jealousy, our ego by all of the church, because each church we have is a branch of another church that we were a part of, that we got upset and broke apart and did something else. I have on the flyer for this particular commentary a picture of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because I am a registered Muslim of the Nation of Islam. I'm no longer active because we were mistreated in all of the work we did. We built a mosque in Sumter. We built a mosque in Charleston. We built a mosque in Columbia. We had a study group in Sumter. We had a study group here in Manning. We had radio broadcasts. We built a nation, but no one knows that we exist because those in authority took our credit for themselves. They raped us. So I am a registered Muslim, but I did not start another Islam because I disagreed with the way they treated us. There's only one. But over and over again, we create another church, another denomination, another this, another that, and confuse the people. Because of our hatred of ourselves, we separate but we use the same white image of Jesus as our authority. This ain't racism. Because let me tell you something. I'm in the midst of white folks talking about Mexicans now. I'm in the midst of white folks talking about how America is going to hell because Mexicans are getting more out of the government than they are, but they don't talk about what they did to black people. Never will. Never will. They have convenient amnesia when that comes about. And I have to be very careful how I talk, because there are a lot of people that I thought were friends that I'm finding out were not. Because anyone that does not defend you in your absence, when they know you, that will allow someone to talk negative or derogatory statements about you in your absence and don't defend you, they are not your friend. I don't care if they fight for you. I don't care how they talk. If they don't defend you in your absence, if you don't defend God in his absence, if you don't defend your mother in her absence, your father in his absence, you're not a good child. So the hatred of ourselves. I find that people have a problem when Jamil succeeds by God's permission. They cipher through everything I do and say to find that one thing that they disagree with or that they misunderstand. And they don't come to me and say, hey, what did you mean by what you said? No, they jump right on. Hey, what you said was wrong. You didn't even ask me what I said and why I said it and why I said it that way. But an associate called me one day and he said, brother, if they ever get an opportunity to beat you, they will beat you half to death and videotape it. That's how much they hate you. They want to hurt you for telling the truth. It's been that way throughout history. Judas and the Messiah, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Jesus Christ, always a so-called friend who sells us out. And if there were video cameras, phone cameras, and Facebook Live during biblical times, Jesus' friends would be up there videotaping him getting beat and crucified. Because that's what we're dealing with today. The hatred of self. The new white man is black. Now, I did a commentary about 10 years ago, entitled Black Skin is Not Enough. And I talked about political figures in South Carolina and in other places and how they come to us when they need the vote, but do very little for us when they get in office. Because once you get a taste of the life that you have never been privy to, it's difficult to turn away from it. Once we began to figure out how to retire from military life and get that $3,500 to $5,000 to $8,000 in retirement money or injury money, 100% disability. Once we got stock market and other things, we were living a good life. And most of us turned our backs on our people, not just our people in general. We turned our backs on family as black people and started behaving like white folks. Meanwhile, white folks are continuously making sure that they keep a stranglehold. Even if they don't like their family members, they're going to back them to the death. I still love them. But when it comes to us, rather it's spiritual, business, or anything else, we're going to get a piece of this world. And this is Satan's world. The book says it. This is Satan's world. And Satan's plan is to give us a little taste of his world so that we will never sincerely pray to God to change this world. God is after the original Hebrews, the children of Israel, but we are after the success of this world. As much as I love music, as much as I love DJing, as much as I love photography, I had offers to be on a radio station. I had offers to do rap music on the same label with Run DMC and the Beastie Boys. I was blessed with that. As much as I loved those things, I had to make a choice to learn God or take what's behind door number 2, success. And I didn't know how long that success was going to last. What I do know is that once we get a taste of this world, this same world that our people fought, bled, and died because of, that our blood and sweat built, that we can't get one iota of a cent of reparations from. But the government can send billions of dollars over to the Ukraine, give millions of dollars to the Chinese, to other races of people to rebuild themselves, but refuse to help us. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps is what they say. So we go out and work ourselves to death, praying on Sunday, but believing in Monday through Friday. We have such a hatred of ourselves. It's been embedded in us from generation to generation. So when a person tries to do right, instead of finding the right, I have not found one of these so-called friends of mine who share my commentaries, but are quick to criticize. I wonder, what are you doing? Oh, I just mind my business. Well, silence is consent. The person who is silent is as guilty as the person who's committing the crime. But we believe in the streets so much that we want to be 50 and 60 years old talking about a street code. The hatred of self is self-destruction. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, and I'm paraphrasing, when this world is on its last leg, when this world is about to crumble, most of the positions of power will be handed down to a black person. And the white person who hands that position over to the black person knows good and well, within a 5-year span of time, that black person will start to think with a white mind opposite of their people. I'm going to get my children in positions of power. I'm going to do for my family. I'm going to make excuses. I'm going to lie. I'm going to trick the people. I'm going to get them to join with me and make it seem like we are some team. We are some squad. But in actuality, you're in another game. They're playing a game with you. Why are you talking like this, Jamil? Because the political season is coming up, and we got to weigh things in the balance and see if the people we voted into office. And let me tell you something. Anytime a white person casts a vote, or if a Japanese or Chinese or Asian person casts a vote, it's not just for cast. It's not to put on a sticker talking about I voted. They cast the vote because they expect something from the candidate. We are the only race of people who don't expect anything from the candidate. If you vote them in and they're black, yes, we expect something from you. Not everything, but something of value. Not just for your children, for all. And I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm talking about the position. White folks know that once they train us, we're still a Frankenstein. And if you look at the Frankenstein movie, even from the old one to the new one, Frankenstein turns on his creator and asks him, why did you create me such a monster? He kills his creator. The hatred of ourselves, While we can call each other the N word and say that it's a term of endearment, but the vibratory frequency of the word has already been established. It's a negative term that creates negative vibration. I don't care how you say it. It's already been established, not by you, black man and woman. We are copycats. There is nothing original about us. We really think Africa is Africa, and we don't look for no other name. We really think that Juneteenth freed black people, but it didn't. It's something to remember and build from. If somebody recorded me speaking out at the event, that would have been great. Nobody did. But if somebody did, then you would understand what the day was for. Long way to go. We're talking about the hatred of self and how that causes self-destruction. Most people are trying to blame it on the drugs and the food and what's on the TV and the rap music. Yeah, those have parts in it. But the main part of our destruction is that devil that we don't see, that vibratory frequency that goes from parent to child. I don't care how you raise them, how you dress them, what school you put them in, they still coming out the N-word. Sophisticated ends, biblical ends, preacher ends, bishop ends, businessmen ends, the N-word. Until we decide we're going to break the cycle. What you look at and what you see in Jamil Salib Zamir is an attempt by God's permission to break the cycle. So I'm different. And yes, everybody around is going to hate me because I don't want the loud music. I don't want the marijuana. I don't want the end behavior. I don't want it because I understand what the vibration. See, we want all of that, but we don't want everything that comes with it. Violence comes with it. Murder comes with it. Rape and robbery comes with it. Police brutality comes with it. All of that comes with it. So when you accept one part, you accept the package. And if you don't fight to protect your family and your community, then you get what you deserve. You get what you deserve. Now, all of the gifts and blessings that God gave us throughout biblical texts, and I was just talking to my son about it with the children of Israel, I don't feel sorry for them because God showed you the promised land, showed you that he did not lie, and told us all we had to do was rely on him. But we feared the giants more than we feared God. It's no different today. We fear the giants more than we fear. That's one of the reasons I hate bullies. And I hate black bullies the most. And I believe I would be a serial killer if I could get away with killing and not have to do prison time for a sucker. Because I would, to see a bully, somebody who just trying to force you into their way of thinking, whether they male, female, 8, 9, 10, or 90, I would kill them if God gave me the strength. The Holy Quran says the job of a civilized man is to teach the uncivilized. And then it asks the question, why does Muhammad or any Muslim murder the devil? Because he's 100% wicked. He's happy what he's doing. He's going to do devilishment until he dies. And that devilishment and the frequency of it goes into the next generation. That's why whole families, when you hear their last name, you say, oh, Lord, them some bad people. Them people crazy. But God's going to raise somebody to match their crazy. So a lot of these quote unquote people that we are afraid of that are crazy, you're going to see them dropping like flies, either to health issues or bullets or jail for murder. Because that's what God was trying to show the children of Israel in the desert. If you stand up to the giants, I will protect you. And that's what he showed them with David and Goliath. David had 5 smooth stones. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said those 5 smooth stones were in the name of Allah. Faith in God is what he had. Jesus had the same faith. But his example of faith was, I gotta be crucified so you can see how wicked people are. The hatred of self is self-destruction. And you're looking for a Caucasian person to see evil, but the evil has been manifested in the soul of our own people. And if you don't understand how to look at the actions of a person and study them and use discernment, you never see it. I'm going to say it again, and I'm not quoting, I'm paraphrasing. The messenger of Allah, the Honorable Elijah, Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, said that when this world begins to end, all of the power positions will be given to black people. And we will begin to hate our people more because we see them in positions of power and they abuse it. It never fails. We were close as families when we were poor. But the minute one gets an education or something more than the other one, it all changes. Now you can barely get a family reunion together because the uppity folks, you know. I came up in the class of 87, uppity folk. We can't even get a class reunion together because they still live in a fantasy that they better than the rest of us. And we're supposed to listen to what they say. Never mind that we're grown. Never mind that you get all your teeth knocked out. They don't even see it. If we can't do it our way, we just won't do it. And unfortunately, some people look up to the devil. Unfortunately, some people totally admire a person who has money and wealth and will do anything to be accepted by them. But not all people. We're talking about the hatred of self. Why are we camouflaging ourselves with all this makeup and fake hair and tattoos? And why are we not thankful to God for what he created us to be? Because Satan moves in the soul. And the purpose of slavery was to break the soul. And those who would not break were murdered. But those murdered were murdered in front of people to put fear in them, and that fear went into the children. Why do you think that only black people and black murders and black crimes are allowed to go through on social media? You see all the violence on social media with our people. The worst of us right there. And I can play 3 songs and they'll flag me for 30 days and tell me I can't play no more music. I can't be on Facebook for 3 songs. But you can post up a video of a black man being murdered, of a young boy shooting another young boy, and they let it stand. Because we got an older generation of evil. And you see it in them. They can't walk. They can't think. They stay high along with you. Because they're constantly manifesting the evil. I want to read you something from Dr. King. I want to read several of them too. I'm going to put this up real quick. Let me see if I could do this. Yes, here we are. And let me take down this. We're almost finished. Y'all good. Y'all doing good. Thank y'all. Again, I'll say this. Y'all listen to 5 seconds of my videos and think you understand the whole concept of what I'm saying. You don't understand nothing. And you'll sit up there and have an hour conversation for 5 seconds of video that you watch instead of taking the time to watch the complete video and then critique it based upon what you heard from beginning to end. And if you have a question, ask me. Don't tell me. You don't know what I was trying to say. Ask me. Then I'll say, well, what do you think? Now you can talk. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. quotes about silence. History will have to record that the greatest tragedy of this period of social transition was not the strident clamor of the bad people, but the appalling silence of the so-called good people. See, we think silence, I don't snitch, I don't tell. Your whole community is falling apart because drugs and violence is up and down the road. Violence all day long. I ain't saying nothing. And you think it's going to get better. But silence opens the gate for Satan. Dr. King quote, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." Dr. King quote, one more after this, "In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends." And that's where I am. The people who stay silent when you claim to be a friend of mine. Just, I ain't getting in it. I ain't getting involved. I ain't getting between it. All right. We'll see. Read this and then I'm done with Dr. King. History will have to record that the greatest tragedy of this period of social transition was not the strident clamor of the bad people, but the appalling silence of the good people. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. See, we like to act like, well, that ain't none of my business. You mean to tell me my daughter gets raped and you gonna say that ain't none of your business when you know who did it? I ain't saying nothing. You mean to tell me somebody gonna kill my child and you know who did it, but because you making a couple of dollars in the drug trade, you ain't saying nothing? Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. And that's why when people's children started getting murdered in Manning, I had to try to help. But the people whose children were murdered, they kicked me out of the fight. You don't know what's going on because you ain't had no child who was murdered. Okay, well, I'm out. But the blood is off of my hands because I tried my best. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. He who passively accepts evil is as much involved in it as he who helps to perpetrate it. He who accepts evil without protesting against it is really cooperating with it. I couldn't have said it better myself. Those of us who come from bad environments, bad situations, and move to try to get in a better situation, and know the violence and the crime and all of the drugs and how it destroyed the community, and you come someplace else and don't try to stop that when you see it, you're just as involved in it. The hatred of self is self-destruction. Silence of what's going on in society and in our homes, in our community, thinking that you get some noble pass because you quiet. Like I said in my other commentary that someone had a problem with, it will reflect in our children. Had a problem with it without asking me where I got it from, but the Bible says that the sins of the father shall be visited onto the children. I didn't say it, I quoted it. I'm trying to find the exact place of it. You know, but when you're looking for something, when you're trying to find something, it's very difficult. Let me try one more time and then we're going to close. That's why you need another person on with you, because while you're talking, they could be researching. And you have things all set up and ready to go when you want to talk about it. I can't seem to find it right now, but I will post it up underneath this commentary. Oh, I know where to find it. By no means. Hold on a minute. By no means forgiving the guilty. I kind of flash back on things here and there. So I think I'm just in a bad search engine. I'm in Norton. but I want to get this for you real quick. Yes. That is in Psalms. What I said came out of biblical text. In other words, it didn't come from my opinion. It came from actual text. This is Exodus 34:7. Says, keeping steadfast love for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgressions and sin, but who will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children and the children's children to the third and the fourth generation. So when I was talking about when someone gives you their word and you knowingly break their word, that inequity will be reflected in your children when they start breaking their word with you. I wasn't talking directly to someone's child. I was using an example of biblical text to back the point of what I was saying. Anyone, and I'm paraphrasing, who lies to another out of convenience, when your child lies to you out of convenience, don't get upset about it. But you can misinterpret a thing and get a person killed because you were there constantly running with the misinterpretation instead of just asking the person, what did you mean? And once they tell you, then the person you're having conversations with, tell them, no, Jamil didn't mean that. This is what he said. I'll put us on a three-way call if you want it, but he said, and I believe the brother because he's a straight up dude. See, that's friendship. That's defense. But when you go along with what somebody is saying, knowing they're a snake, knowing they're a crook, knowing they're a liar, you're putting us in the same category. We're not in the same category. The hatred of self. It's self-destruction for every attempt that we make at trying to better ourselves. The minute it is done, the hatred comes and set us back 20 feet when we only stepped up 10. What I would have done, what he should have done, what he could have done. Why you didn't do it? Because you wanted to see it fail. And when it didn't fail, now you got to make it fail. But you will be held accountable for that. Now, there's a difference in something going wrong, something you see wrong, and something going wrong. Most of us don't see nothing wrong because we evil as hell. So everything, ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with rape. Ain't nothing wrong with murder. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But if it's a sin in the sight of God, then it's a sin. And it will be reflected on our children and the children's children. I think I'm done. I didn't want to talk too much about this thing, but look at your politicians. Look at your business people, how they come around to the black community to make money and how they pack up and leave. How you never get invited to much of anything. How they only use us when they need numbers for voting and for looks. All right. Thank y'all for tuning in sincerely. I think I finished everything. We hate our blessed hatred, our blackness. Yeah. Resulting right. So-called God, good folks, replace him with their yes. If you ever get a chance, I want you to watch the original version of Animal Farm. Animal Farm. When the animals rebelled against the humans because the humans were mistreating the animals, but some of the animals wanted to take over what the humans had. That's how we're living. This is a live version of Animal Farm. Some black people want to be the new white people, not for their wealth and riches, because they want to be better than the other N-words. That's where we are. Somebody got to say it. Everybody can't turn a blind eye and just live life. If that is the case, then destruction will come sooner than you think. If there is nobody fighting against evil, then God has no reason to hold back his destruction. Satan's job is to make us fall in love with his world. So even when we're in church, we're not praying sincerely for salvation. I kind of like that weed now. I like that liquor. I like masturbating now. I like screwing. I like that now. There ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of that now. Okay, you like it. I like some of it too. But wrong is wrong. And if we flatline it right there, right is right and wrong is wrong, salvation. God, I know I'm a sinner. I know I do wrong. I know I like wrong, but it's wrong. I know I'm in a relationship with a man and I'm a man. I like it. I'm going to die doing this. I'm not saying it's right, but it's wrong, but this is what I like. Salvation. You deal with that situation when you get there. But truth has a power to it. This is who I am. 10 times better than a person lying about who they are. Protect yourself, your mind, your community. We war not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and wickedness in high places. The high place is our soul. The high place is that crown that is supposed to be on our head that will never develop. Just because you calling each other queen and king don't mean nothing. They're just words. It's like you calling yourself CEO and you won't even pay your cell phone bill. You are not a CEO. Like you calling yourself a boss and you can't even get a job. You are not a boss. They're just titles. And we get hooked on titles. The hatred of ourselves makes us to want to be the N-word no matter how high we go up in life. We always want somebody under our foot. If we don't begin to do better, because the cities of America are gone. And the people who leave the cities and come down here to retire know they destroyed. And they're going to come down here and do the same thing. But because they come with money and they add more into society, they don't come to Sugar Hill respecting Sugar Hill and the struggle of Sugar Hill. They come with their own mindset. And if we don't check them as natives of Sugar Hill, they will take over Sugar Hill. They will take over Westwood, Manning Garden, and make it what they wanted. Them Florida boys came down here across town and started the ruckus with them banana clips and all that because they were strong. Them Florida boys did that. And all of them who came from that way, and them New Yorkers who had the kahunas to do it. Everybody else followed. But it was all hatred. And you see what happened in the end? Gentrification. Most of it is owned, Crosstown is owned by another race of people. We never owned it. Never will. I got to talk about it. The hatred of self leads to self-destruction. A termite will destroy everything. And you can sit there and explain to that termite what he did wrong, and he'll destroy something else. Snake is going to be a snake. A dog is going to be a dog. But a devil who was made a devil can change should they choose to. Thank you for tuning in. This is Jamil Salib Zamir. I don't think I yelled much this time. I don't think I raised my voice. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be back on very soon, God willing.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for tuning in to this month installment of the 19 Report. I am your host, Brother Johnny. I walked a thin line between right and wrong, took my fears to God, then I wrote this song. The spirit kept calling, so I answered the phone, and then I manned up and got some backbone. My mind resonates at a much higher tone, solid foundation, empire zone. 3 mountains, I'm in one, right to left counted, 9 and then 1, left to right switch it, 1 and then 9, west to east, south to north, a thin line. I know Christ exists, cause his mercy allows me a chance to stand 3 on a square. Yeah, we in there. This is Brother Johnny of Groove 19 Promotions.